Hey guys, welcome to Nicole Sauce's Thought of the Walk. This is episode, 35 or so. And the original date for this to go out was yesterday. And I was taking this class, a tactical response. It's a beginning emergency medical class where you learn how to respond and keep people alive till EMS can get there in fairly catastrophic situations. I've heard a lot of horror stories over the last few days, and that meant that last night I had nightmares all night, and that's something I kind of want to talk about today, is just how what you expose yourself to sometimes impacts things you don't expect. And it was an interesting experience, but I'm out here on a walk one day late because I didn't want to record a Thought of the Walk with a million people around, and there were a million people around, as you know. So here we are, once again, back in the holler, on a glorious walk with my dogs, which is back in balance. When I woke up this morning, after having had nightmares all night, the last thing I wanted to do was A, get out of bed, B, go on a walk. Full disclosure, just didn't want to do it, and this is my only day home this week, so I sat there and I thought, I can treat myself nicely, make sure I get plenty of sleep, and get my stuff done so I can leave town again tomorrow morning. And then I was like, you know what, Nicole? Did you learn nothing in your class? Did you learn nothing? Why are you giving up on one of the things that's very important to you from a priority standpoint? And why are you willing to let yourself just laze around? You're not sick, right? I'm not sick. Just tired. So I got up and I had a cup of coffee, and I'm out on my walk, and I feel great. Sometimes when you push through things like that, turns out you feel great when you do the right thing. And I did the right thing. And I think part of that is just knowing how your long-term impact from decisions you make will be. I also know that despite the fact I have 40 million things to do today to get ready to go out of town tomorrow, including roasting 200 pounds of coffee, which is a long day in any universe. This walk, instead of roasting coffee, because one would think just roast coffee every hour that you're awake, you'll get it done. This walk will make it so that when I'm roasting coffee, I'm concentrating on what I should be concentrating on, which is coffee and making it really good. And if I had just gotten up, stayed in my PJs, put my hair up in this bun to keep hair out of your coffee, and started roasting coffee, well, guess what? I would have ended up not concentrating on the roast. Probably would have messed up some of them, and it probably would have taken me longer to roast that 200 pounds than it will to roast that 200 pounds today after this walk, with a break in the middle for a healthy breakfast, which is what I always do, with a break in the middle of the day to reset my mind. And that's an important thing to do. And if you listen to all those things I'm talking about, everything we've talked about today are choices. So as I said, I was at this class which covered things like putting tourniquets on and stopping bleeding and packing wounds and all this other stuff. And excuse me, I need to yell at my dogs. Chestnut, come here. There she is. That dog responds like that when I call her. It's the best. Cece doesn't respond as quickly. Anyway, that's a class, that kind of class, covering those things. I have been wanting to take that class for 2 years. I've been wanting to learn these skills so long that I invited somebody to the spring workshop to show us important emergency medical procedures, a former EMS guy, and he basically showed us how to put a tourniquet on. But of course, being shown how to put a tourniquet on and doing the actual thing of putting a tourniquet on are two different things. And I knew that when I watched it. I was like, okay, I get it in theory. And had something happened where that particular skill were required of me in between our spring workshop and today, I actually might have bumbled through and gotten it done. After taking a class with practical hands-on training, I will freaking get it done. And it'll be because I choose to. It'll be because I practiced. And it will be because I learned how to do it right, verified I can do it right. I learned how to do it with multiple styles of tourniquets. And I hope I never need to use one. I hope that never comes up in my life. But it's a skill I wanted. And if you think about it as a homesteader, I live out 25 minutes from town. If we have an emergency of that scale here, because let's say I'm out with the pigs, one of them has tusks, tusk hits my artery on my leg because they charge me and severs it on the, the inside thigh of your leg. And we need to stay alive till EMS gets here. You have 90 seconds to 2 minutes before you bleed out, right? You got to get that, or maybe it's 90 seconds till you pass out. But I think it's under 3 minutes before you're just going to die. And 3 minutes and 25 minutes, two very different numbers. Okay, dogs, let's go home. Chestnut! And that would mean that if there's nobody around here who can properly stop that bleeding, applying pressure and other things will slow it down, by the way, who can help with that situation, we're going to die. And this is an important thing to know if you live out in the country, is how am I going to stabilize until we can get help? How am I going to stabilize if we can't get help, right? And on the homestead, accidents happen. And the kinds of accidents that happen are pretty big. I give you that pig example because I know people who have died because of pig tusks. This is part of why when I get in my pig pasture, even though 0% of my pigs have tusks, and if they start growing tusks, I'm pretty sure we're going to trim the tusks because I don't want any part of a razor sharp pig tusk near my upper thigh. Just not. And by the way, pig tusks are like right at that height. So that actually happens to people. And the only way you're saving yourself in that situation is if you can apply a tourniquet to your own leg and you have one with you. How many of you walk around with one in your pocket, right? Well, it's a choice. And what I learned in the class is being able to use that right is also a choice. And while I was there, I felt a little intimidated because I haven't done any real training in self-defense of any kind, really. I've done like one thing in college. It doesn't really count, but I learned some skills, and I've learned how to just not have a victim attitude around somebody, which makes a big difference. But practical self-defense, no. Self-defense with a weapon, certainly not. And I haven't practiced any scenarios. And if somebody were to attack me and I had a gun and needed to use the gun, there's a good chance that would be unsuccessful. Because what I know how to do with a gun is shoot it without shooting myself. And I can hit things when I'm not freaking out because somebody's trying to kill me, right? Or somebody's trying to rob my house, or I don't know why anybody would break into my house after hearing my woofy dogs, because the mountain cur would probably try to eat their face off. But if they do, then that person's is either totally crazy or very determined to do harm to get whatever it is they want inside my house, right? That's that's what you're up against in the country. And calling the cops takes 45 to an hour for them to get out here, usually. So I'm dead, or hurt or raped or whatever. And so knowing that this has been the biggest hole in my personal, just taking care of my journey to just take care of myself as best I can, I have wanted to take a training class for years. Have wanted. That's the phrase. Have wanted. And I haven't done it. And if you ask me why I haven't done it, the answer I'm going to give you is I haven't made time for it. Because it's a choice. It's not because I don't have enough money. If I decide to do that class and I need to raise, the about $1,000 is going to take to do all, everything by the time you're done. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out and get it done. It includes choosing to not be at work for some time. There's a lot of reasons why I've chosen not to make that time, and some of it is that I was not sure I was mentally ready to decide to be successful in that class while learning what I need to learn. And it's really similar to this medical class I took, where if you're going to be successful with a tourniquet application, you need to decide you're going to be successful with this tourniquet application. And if you're not successful even after that, there you can put a second tourniquet on, but I don't know what happened there, really. But I do know that I call it rhinocerosing. If you rhinoceros through, which means use your full strength and just do it, you get it done. The person you're doing it to isn't usually too happy with you, but they'll be happy when they're alive later, right? So it's the same thing with training in self-defense with a weapon. I need to take it seriously when I take it, and I need to learn it as if I'm actually doing it. And I wasn't sure in the last few years, with everything going on in my personal life, if I could bring that to a class. And when this class came up as an opportunity for me, I thought, you know what? I'm pretty sure, even if I don't bring it, I'll get it at this class. The mental fortitude to know I can decide to help somebody. Because I also know, because I do a lot of first aid here for hurt animals or whatever, and I get to this point where it's kind of causing them pain what I need to do to them, and then I back off and rush them to the vet and depend on the vet, and then the vet just goes like, boop, 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 done. And the difference between the vet and me is he decides that even if he hurts the animal, he's going to save the animal. And I'm like, oh, I'm hurting the animal, I can't hurt my poor dog or whatever. Well, by the way, this doesn't mean just treat an animal until they bite you or something. You need to be aware of that with animals. But it's a decision to be able to do that. And I learned at this class to make that other decision, which is the right decision, which is to treat as best I can, even if in the moment it hurts, but is better than letting somebody die, right? Die of an infection because I'm not willing to clean the wound all the way to get the stuff out, because that hurts, etc. Well, same with the other kind of training course. You got to decide to take it seriously, because the worst thing I could do is take a course like that and not take it seriously. And then I've learned to not take things seriously, right? And I think that lesson applies throughout life. And when people ask you why you haven't done something yet, it's a good idea to just say, because I haven't made time for it, right? Why haven't I shifted my diet 100% in the direction I think I should go? Well, part of it's because I'm deciding, right? I'm trying different things. I'm deciding how far down the keto path I want to go, or do I want to try carnivore, all these things. But so I'm deciding. But part of it is, once I make a decision like that, I'm committing to pre-cooking and a lot of planning at first for me, because it changes a little bit the style of how I handle things, and making sure things are on hand that need to be on hand, although that's pretty much handled here. And I'm committing to no cheats. No cheats means no chocolate. At least for, probably 3 to 6 months. And until I'm ready to choose to do that, I'm not going to do it, because the worst thing I could do with that is fall off the wagon. Start again, fall off the wagon. That's how you become fat, by the way. That's how you gain, 50 pounds in 6 months. It's because it's better just to continue eating how you are than to change the percentage and then mix it with the bad stuff too, and then you end up triggering some things. So, by the way, guys, that doesn't mean that if you're on keto you can't have cheat days. It's just that if you have cheat months, that's where you get in trouble. So it's all a choice. And I think we underestimate the power we have over our own lives, even when we think we quote unquote can't, by just making the choice. And I think it starts with being honest with yourself when you're choosing not to make time for something. So that was my thought of the walk today. Hope everybody's having a great week. I'll be back with another thought of the walk, hopefully from Polyface Farm on Friday. Make it a great week. Actually, I might do one from the road Thursday. We'll see. Make it a great week.